I've got about 5 notes per section. So I'm going to go through them. And Mikki, if you hear something that triggers your thought process of something you want to just put your hand up, I'll keep my eye on you.
Okay.
And then, we'll go on to Tony. And same to Lynn.
Yeah.
And, Tony, I know you've got tons of notes probably, or you and I can just kind of be the 2 pieces of Oreo on the cream of our wives.
Ew.
I know.
He meant like the cream of the crop.
That was weird. I did not, yeah. Live from the Hey Did You Ever See That Movie Studios in downtown Boston, it's showtime. Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your hostess, and as always, I'm joined by my brainy little co-host, Stellan.
How do you like them apples?
And joining us again, the podcaster with 1,000 potions, Mikki.
Hey, everyone.
And last but not least, the podcaster, packing heat, Tony 2.0.
My boy's wicked smart.
All right. For everybody at home, this is going to become quickly apparent. 3/4 of our panel tonight are suffering from tuberculosis. So just deal with it. They all sound sick, but you still got me. This week, we will be discussing the 1997 drama, Good Will Hunting, written by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, directed by Gus Van Sant, starring Robin Williams, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Stellan Skarsgard, and Minnie Driver. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, then come back and listen to the podcast.
On the campus of one of America's leading universities.
There is a problem on the main hallway chalkboard. It took my colleagues and I more than 2 years to prove. And I'm hoping that one of you might prove it by the end of the semester.
The most gifted mind to ever enter its classrooms.
This is correct. Who did this?
Is the person who cleans its floors.
I just need the name of this guy who works in my building.
Got this job through his PO, you can call him.
P.O.?
Parole officer.
Meet Will Hunting.
I've been looking over this rap sheet of yours. Assault, theft, resisting.
I've spoken to the judge, and he's agreed to release you under my supervision. Really? But you have to meet with a therapist every week.
That's pretty good.
For the first time in his life, he's about to meet his match.
How many shrinks you go to before me?
5. Oh, this boy's genius is unparalleled. But I need someone who can get through to him.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm pumped. Let's let the healing begin. I went on a date last week. Going out again? I don't know. This girl's like, beautiful. She's smart. She's fun. She's like perfect right now. I don't want to ruin that. Maybe you're perfect right now. Maybe you don't want to ruin that. Have you talked to him at all about his future? Give him time to figure out what he wants.
This boy has that gift. Can you imagine if Einstein would have given that up just to get drunk with his buddies every night?
Some people can never believe in themselves.
I can't learn anything from you unless you want to talk about you.
Until someone believes in them.
You can do anything you want. You are bound by nothing.
You're sitting on a winning lottery ticket. I'd do anything to have what you got.
And some never know how much they can have.
I love you.
Until they discover how much they can give. Academy Award winner Robin Williams, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Stellan Skarsgard, and Minnie Driver. Good Will Hunting, nominated for 9 Academy Awards.
Please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share, especially if you're watching on YouTube. It helps the algorithm. If you are so inclined and are interested, we have lovely mugs, stickers, and t-shirts over at our merch store at vvr.printify.me. Dylan, no messages this week, correct?
No, but it should be mentioned that our listener Kathleen requested Good Will Hunting, and that's why we're doing it.
Oh, thank you, Kathleen. I
Right
appreciate
on.
that.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Okay, since there's no mail, I'm going to share a little story. So between our front door and the main road that our condo is off of, there's an access road. It's about, I don't know, maybe a little more than a quarter mile long. Really beautiful. Trees on each side. There's a creek on each side. It's just really nice. People from all over the area come and walk this. So I was walking it today, and as I was coming down, I was about halfway down, I noticed off in the distance on the right, something moving. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't make it out. As I got a little closer, I could tell what it was. I was staring at a giant hairy beaver. It had obviously just come out of the creek because it was also wet. I was staring at a giant, hairy, wet beaver in the wild. I made eye contact with the hairy beast, and it slithered off. Tony, have you ever seen a giant, hairy beaver?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. So there you go. That's my story.
Okay.
It's
a good story. Yeah. I don't think beavers slither, though, do they? They just kind of putter.
You can bet your ass I never saw that hairy beaver.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
You scare us. By the way, Des, for the pronunciation group, it's a creek.
Oh, I know. I wanted to say creek. I wanted to sound southern.
I like you.
Next show, I have no idea because Tony has not reached out to me. So I guess it's going to be like a box of chocolate. It'll be a mystery. You'll open it up. You'll have no idea what you're going to get. It's probably going to be slashing and gashing and all sorts of shit like that because Tony's picking it. So if you like horror, tune in. Should be a good one. He said he was also going to go out of his way to choose a movie that would make me crazy, drive me out of my mind. So that to look forward to.
Oh, like you need any help?
Okay. Let's go over to the box office. With a budget of $10 million and a box office gross of $225 million, this movie was considered a huge hairy beaver. So there you go. Let me give you guys a quick synopsis. That joke actually got funnier on the turnaround, I think.
Okay. Winona's Big Brown Beaver. I got you.
Therapist consults Will Hunting, a janitor with a genius IQ. So there you go. That's your synopsis.
Oh, you didn't do any opening thoughts. You didn't ask anybody.
I'm going there now. I'm going to go there now.
That's not normally where you do it.
It's a circuitous route this weekend. You know, we're just doing the best we can here, Dylan.
I wanted to shake it up a little bit. Let's do some opening thoughts on this one. I will get us started. So I have seen this movie before. It's been quite a while. The question is, will it stand the test of time and this review? Find out. Lynn, had you ever seen Good Will Hunting?
Oh, absolutely. I think if you live in Boston or are from Boston, it's kind of like you're a rite of passage. You're kind of forced to watch this movie at some point in your life.
And Tony, were you familiar with this movie?
Yes, I had seen it many times. It is one of my comfort films. If it's on, everything stops and I'll sit down and watch it just because it's one of those films.
Sure. And Mikki?
Yes, several times. I agree with Dylan. I think if you're from New England, it's definitely a kind of a rite of passage for you to see this movie at least once.
Yeah, this is a movie that I can't watch a lot because it emotionally takes a toll on me. So my memory serves me. This should be a decent review. Lynn, why don't you get us started?
All right. Though Will Hunting has a genius level intelligence.
Would you like me to give it a try tonight? Let me give it a try tonight because you're sick. Nobody wants to listen to this.
Okay.
Though Will Hunting has a genius level intelligence, such as a talent for memorizing facts and an intuitive ability to prove sophisticated mathematical theorems, He works as a janitor at MIT and lives alone in a sparsely furnished apartment in an impoverished South Boston neighborhood. He spends his free time hanging with his buddies from around town, drinking in the L Street Tavern. While he does love to read and absorbs knowledge readily, he doesn't use this ability to better his life in any way. While watching some kids play baseball, he sees a bully from his childhood and takes a note of him in the neighborhood as beating his ass back in kindergarten. Meanwhile, Professor Gerald Lembeau, a Fields medalist who teaches at MIT, leaves a complicated math equation on a chalkboard as a challenge to his students, hoping someone might solve the problem by the semester's end. Will takes note of this equation and takes a day or two to solve it before returning to the hallway and leaving the solution on the board. Lambeau leaves an MIT alumni mixer when he is informed that somebody has already solved the problem, but no one is claiming ownership. Meanwhile, Will meets a girl at a bar named Skylar, and despite the fact that she is very clearly a Harvard student and probably too good for Will, she is interested and gives him her number. Dylan.
So just a quick moment to discuss the opening credits. By this time in movies, it was coming out of fashion to put the credits at the beginning of the movie like this. You know, you might get like a couple of the first lead actors, but you're not getting the costumes and the music and all this stuff. And I'm glad they did it because I didn't realize at the time that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck had written the script. And I also didn't realize that Kevin Smith and Scott Mosier produced, which I found to be a really interesting intersection considering the tone of this movie. It's not typical Kevin Smith fodder, you know? Though it does make sense that Affleck ends up in Mallrats and both of them end up in Dogma later.
Yeah.
Also, I love the kaleidoscope effect that they use because to me it speaks to Will's mental state because they don't use that kaleidoscope effect again until later on in the movie when he's thinking about his abusive father. So it shows to me like his brain is in a kaleidoscope. He's not looking straight on at anything. And I thought that was a very interesting effect to use.
Yeah, they actually use a lot of this camera work to kind of express emotion. And they did this a lot in a movie called Drugstore Cowboy with Matt Dillon, where you would get these shots, you know, when he was high and stuff. And I definitely got the same vibe from this. So like you said, for anybody who never lived in Boston, this opening scene at Will's house, this just captures the inner city of Boston, the working class neighborhoods of Southie. I mean, you know, the air conditioners in the backyard. It's just, this is what it's like. We get this professor waxing poetic about this impossible equation he's put on the blackboard to search his class out for a genius. And in my opinion, perfect setup for this story. I mean, it's laying down the gauntlet. Is this kid Will going to be, you know, the guy we think he's going to be? We hope he's going to be. Next, we get this quick scene in the bar. And this is full of great banter. This is some of the heart of this movie. If they had left this out, this would not be the same movie it is. There's a lot of good comedic moments in this movie, and a lot of them come from Ben Affleck, right? I mean, I fucking love this character.
Chucky.
Yeah, Chucky. I mean, is he overacting the part of a Southie kid a little bit? Sure. But in my opinion, it totally works for this movie, and it keeps the pacing of the movie from dragging because without this group of guys, his crew, this movie might have got a little bit dry. Next, the scene with Will writing out and solving this equation on his mirror. This equation that he presumably saw for just a brief moment the day before. It really sets this kid up as a true genius. I mean, I fucking love this. The director, he hits us hard and fast with this concept. And for me, it totally works. I'm excited to see what this kid is capable of. You know, how this professor will react to the solving of this impossible equation by a janitor. I mean, I love these, you know, I love these underdog stories. It's just, it really works for me. And finally, we get this scene in the Harvard bar. And I love this scene because Boston is a college town. It's full of smart kids from out of town. It's also filled with less fortunate inner city kids. So there is a big class divide in Boston. I mean, if you ever go down to Harvard Square back in the day, like when I was younger, you'd have rock and roll dudes, goth dudes, and Harvard kids all in the same square. And it's just a really neat mixing pot, actually.
Down at the pit.
Yeah, and this made for a great subplot that gives this movie a level of excitement that, again, just keeps the pacing moving for me. And when Will undresses this douchebag Harvard kid with a ponytail in front of Skylar, my dick literally got hard. This scene was so fucking great when he just walks up to Chucky and he's like, step aside, son. And he just undresses this douche. I loved it, Mickey.
What I loved about these opening scenes, first off, I thought Casey Affleck did awesome as well. I thought he was good. And even Cole Hauser, who I don't believe is from New England, but I thought they did great. And watching it, at least for me, and I'm sure you guys as well, being from that area, you knew each one of those guys. Like,
yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, just the banter. And I know that Ben and Casey Affleck are brothers in real life, but like just the banter back and forth between the two of them and just the way they feed off each other. And that is how it was portrayed so well, just that back and forth, because you have hung out with those guys on a Friday and Saturday night after work at the local bar. You know them. I mean, I saw so many people I knew in those four characters, you know? So I thought they did a really good job of that.
I fucking was in a crew like that. I mean, Delin knows she's met these guys, you know. I used to run around with maniacs from Boston, so for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The core four horsemen in Chucky's car, just riding up the road in a huge American piece of shit, you know, massive Oldsmobile Buick, whatever the hell it was, you know, the Delta 88. Well, you know, because they're all interchangeable. I mean, I see a friend of mine named Vic in high school with a Buick Skylark or something that had doors that weighed 48 pounds. And, you know, he would literally look at us and go, hey, I'll give you all a ride, but I need $1 for gas. So everybody had to pitch in before you could get into Vic's car. I'm like, what is this, a fucking cab or what? But, you know, I hear it. So it is what it is. It's a beautiful thing. I think we all relate somehow. I love the choice too, because Gus Van Sant is the director who's really an indie guy. And even though this is a Miramax cluster mess of a movie, because I'm not obviously a Bob, the hell's his name? Weinstein, Harvey and Bob Weinstein were the guys behind Miramax. He does such a good job. Des, you mentioned Drugstore Cowboy, which is one of his films.
Yeah.
And that's apparently where the Kevin Smith thing comes in, because I'm sure he said, I got the director for this movie. Let's put it together, because they worked together previously. And I guess they were big fans of each other. But it's shot in a way that is not pretty, because this part of the world is not super pretty. You know what I mean? It's a rundown working class kind of neighborhood, and it is what it is. I mean, you know, you don't jazz it up. I love Will's apartment. It's basically one room. You know, you don't really see it other than in one direction. But, you know, the guy sleeps on a mattress on the floor. He has like one chair, and that's all he needs, because he's in this kind of shell as a human being. You know what I mean? He doesn't relate. He's got his friends, and that's about the size of it. And, you know, there's a seminal speech that Ben Affleck's character gives to him after work one day, where they're just drinking a beer on the hood of the truck, and I won't blow it, but so good. The dialogue back and forth is so real, because it's just two guys shooting the shit. You know what I mean? And it's so well written. You know, you mentioned the Harvard bar kind of dressing down of that pogue with the stupid ponytail, who should have known better, because, you know, you're looking at his guys behind him. It's a little Asian kid with glasses and some dude who's got his hat on backwards. And it's like, do you see these four guys? They will eat you for breakfast. Do you know what's going to happen to you? Because Will not only beats him in an intelligence contest, he then says, or do you want to go outside?
Oh, yeah, he offers to kick his ass.
Right. Well, you know the best part, right? He goes, you can accept defeat now like a man, or I'll take you outside and beat the living shit out of you, because that will show you that I am better than you in every aspect of your life. And this guy's smart enough to know that he doesn't need to go that route, because it's not his game. But it's a beautiful thing, because like you said, Des, he just just tears him apart from the center outward.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not the toughest guy in the world, but I can definitely handle myself in a Donnybrook for sure. And, like I said,
I just said Donnybrook.
Oh yeah. And I will again. And like I said, I used to hang around with a tough group of guys. We were pretty tightly knit and we get into trouble. And, I was by far not the toughest kid in that group. I was the looker, right? And, but some of these boys were bad boys, but I've lived all over this country. And I mean, anywhere I go, when I run into these guys, like when I was out in San Francisco, I run into these kids, think they're tough guys there. Like we'll be at a party and, things get chippy and, you start wrestling around drunk. I'm whipping ass on all these guys. Guys from Boston, like fucking Tony said, Boston is cold, it's tough, it's rough, it's mean, it's unforgiving. It's your friends will go at you harder than your enemies. And it just makes you.
Yeah, it's just gritty. It's a gritty place to live.
It is.
And you know what? It's every East Coast city. I don't care if it's Philly or New York or Boston or Baltimore or whatever. If you're an inner city kid on the East Coast, you are so much harder just intrinsically than anybody on the West Coast.
There's no question.
I don't even care if it's Portland. You know what I mean? I don't care if it's or what's in Washington, Seattle.
Yeah.
Everybody on the West Coast has a much more chill kind of vibe. The East Coast is all about getting it done. Fuck you, all for me. I got shit I got to handle.
It's funny. The further west I went, the tougher I got. And then as I made my way back across the country towards New York, I finally got into the Village. I was a pussy again. So there you go.
Well, and you know what's funny too is like, I don't know if it's this way now, but I remember several years ago, like being out in California, and people in California, businesses in California would snatch up East Coast people because they had such a good work ethic.
Yeah.
And most of the kids in California wanted to go surfing, go to the beach, fuck off, do whatever, work part-time. And so I had a friend that had moved out there and like got a job like the day they got off the plane. It was just like they were snatching people up because East Coast people, sorry to anyone else listening, but we fucking rule.
Yeah. All right. With no one coming forward, Lambeau puts another problem on the board, one that took him and his colleagues 2 years to prove. Will is discovered in the act of solving the problem, and Lambeau initially thinks Will is just vandalizing the board, and Will is not sticking around to answer any questions. When Will turns out to have solved it correctly, Lambeau tries to track Will down. Meanwhile, Will attacks a guy who had bullied him years ago in school, and he now faces imprisonment after punching a police officer who was responding to the fight. He doesn't return to work at MIT, and Lambeau finds out that he is a parolee working at the university and tracks him down. Finding him at his arraignment, Lambeau interviews on Will's behalf, offering him a choice. Either Will can go to jail or he can be released into Lambeau's personal supervision, where he must study mathematics and see a psychiatrist. Will chooses the latter, even though he seems to believe that he does not need therapy. Dylan, did he need therapy?
Yes, he did. He needed some severe therapy. I really appreciate that Affleck and Damon got Boston so very, very right. Of course, they're from here, so of course they're going to get it right, but they really got it right. The L Street Tavern, the small paper Dunks cups, the way they were drinking out of the Dunks cups. I've seen workmen drinking out of those small paper Dunks cups in that exact same way. The beat up cars, the clothes all his friends wear. Not all of Boston is like that, but Southie, Dorchester, that's that world, especially in the 90s. I'm going to ignore the fact that the scenes with Will on the Red Line is not how you get to Southie. They're looking for an impoverished look to be behind him.
Yeah.
And that's Savin Hill.
Yep.
And that stretches from South Station to Savin Hill. But I don't care. It's fine. There's a few places that the accents seem a little bit forced, but it's not jarring. And Skarsgård is just the right amount of smug, with Damon nailing this tough street kid thing without taking it too far in the other direction.
Yeah. So this scene of Will's crew in the car returning from Kelly's roast beef, first of all, I'm going to break down Kelly's roast beef for anybody who's not from Boston. So this is arguably, it's between Kelly's and Mike's, but this is arguably the best roast beef shop in town. And in Boston, people order the three-way. And the three-way would be sauce, mayo, and cheese on a roast beef sandwich.
Oh, you're fucking it all up, but
But
okay, whatever.
I digress. This scene, this
You
scene.
don't put cheese on it. Come on. Anyway,
Well, that's
Oh
the-
no,
continue.
I get a three-way.
No,
That's how I order it.
I know.
It's a
Trust
thriller.
me, my wife has a religious experience at Bill and Bob's every time she goes there because that's her Salem haunt.
So this scene is great. And my favorite part about it is when Chucky starts busting Morgan's balls about being broke and having to put the sandwich on layaway. She's like, give me the 16 cents. Your fucking sandwich will be on the dashboard. I'll be waiting here every week. You give me 17 cents. Like, this is how me and my friends bust each other's balls back in the day. Like, there was always one of us that had some cash. And again, in Boston, if you got money, I got money. If I got money, you got money. We're going to take care of each other.
I was gonna say, I feel like I've been in the car and had that conversation, like with
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. But you're going to give your buddy half your sandwich, but you're not going to do it without calling him a fucking broke loser, right? Like, that's just the way, that's the price for your half a sandwich.
That's it. If you can't bust your friend's balls, what are you doing with them?
Yeah. So this all
Absolutely.
played very true to me, especially the Donnybrook fight. So said crew I was talking about, I can remember back in the day, I was playing a show with my band. And one guy had bumped into another guy, and whatever happened outside the club, outside the back door, huge fight broke out. And it was my guys going up against these guys. It was like 7-on-7. There was one dude on the other side that was like a fucking ninja, man. This kid was a ninja. We all fought hard until the cops came and broke it up. I mean, people were getting knocked out. People were getting kicked in the face. I had an umbrella. I was like ruthlessly pounding a guy in the head with it while one of my friends held him down. I mean, it was like that. But we had a friend, and I'm not going to mention his name here because I know I have friends that listen to this show, but he was doing what we call in Boston, checking the oil. Okay. So if you're not familiar with checking the oil, that means you were looking under the hood while the fight was going on. And, cops came, everybody scattered. And when we all met back up later that night, he would have done better just getting his ass whooped that night, because we fucking rode this dude. You fucking bitch, you pussy, you were fucking checking the oil. No, man, no, it wasn't like that. No, it's exactly what it was like. So, yeah. I will say that I believe that Will may have killed that guy if no one pulled him off. I just don't think he was going to stop punching him. It was really violent, his attack on that guy. And it really made the character like beautifully complicated, because you realize how broken this guy is. Like, the rest of the guys are in a scrap in a schoolyard. He's now beating his ex foster dad. Like, that's who he's punching in the face now. He's lost complete control.
That's a really good observation. That's a really good point. I didn't think about it like that, but now that you say that, looking back on the scene, that's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, I think Will isn't just beating his stepdad. I think he's beating up his entire first 15 years of life.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
His ruthless attack on this kid. And let's be real, he committed the unforgettable sin of beating him up in kindergarten.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. You know what I mean? This is like the most shitty pretext for a fight ever. But it's the simple fact that I don't fucking like that guy. Why don't you like that guy? He beat me up in kindergarten. Holy shit. Is your memory that fucking,
It is, because
powerful?
I still hold a grudge against a certain individual from, 6th grade that ruthlessly beat me every day at the bus stop. And if I could
Okay.
find this guy, I would.
I got you, but let's put it to you this way. You're what in kindergarten? 4?
Yeah.
How old are you in 6th grade?
I was
More
probably
like 13.
11. I was like 11.
12.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
was like
okay.
11.
So at 11, I think you have a little bit more ability to take care of business. When you're 4 years old, you're not exactly Jean-Claude Van Damme. You know what I mean?
Right,
We're not doing any heavy duty ass whipping here at 4 years old in kindergarten, for Christ's sake.
I don't know. Maybe
So-
it's Southie.
That seems a little, like a pretend kind of concept of fuck that guy. Not only that, but of course he happens to be Italian American. These guys are
Jean-Claude
obviously
Van
all
Damme.
Irish.
Yes.
Henceforth, I just don't fucking like you because you're not one of me.
Yeah.
Right. You're not like my people. So now I got to take it out on you.
Sure. Yeah. He needed to blow off some steam, and that was his tea kettle.
He does. It's very flippant, but apparently he does give some jazz to a female that is walking down the street the other way when these guys are driving up
Yes.
the block. And although I don't know if he even knew who the girl was, it's the simple fact of, did you see that? We can't let that shit go on here.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like they're somehow the unknown protectors of the neighborhood.
No, he's looking for trouble. He's looking for
Yeah,
trouble.
it's a pretext. It's a pretext to start a bunch of shit. And that was the guy we're going to do it with. So even better.
He's spoiling for a rumble.
And we're going to find out later that he's done this fucking endless times. He's got a past crime, a record of violent crime. So next, the director, he raises the stakes by giving us this new equation that took the two professors 2 years to put together. And Will, in just a few minutes, solves it. Having these two scenes so close together, it just adds to the complexity of Will's character. This is a kid who can get so dark and so lost in his past that he could literally kill somebody in just a blacked out fit of rage, but also in just a couple of seconds can outwit, two MIT professors. And it just, oh man, for me, it makes this character almost, I don't know, just so multidimensional. It just really worked for me. In the courthouse hearing, we're going to get Will's backstory here. And it's both inspiring because he's so intelligent, but it's also devastating to me. This movie has so much heart and honesty, and it moves me at every single turn. Like, I found myself just getting choked up like nonstop during this movie with like good choke ups and sad choke ups. Next, we see this class divide between Will and Skylar. He calls her from lockup and she's in her dorm room at MIT. It really sets this relationship up as doomed from the start because of this class divide. But again, it's got me rooting for Will to turn his life around. And that's the backbone of this movie for me, wanting to see this kid succeed, wanting to see this woman who, could really help him, save him. I mean, you just want to see Will saved, And maybe this all touches me so deeply because I fancy myself as a bit of a better looking, slightly less intelligent version of Will Hunting.
Okay.
And finally, I noticed this scene where Will and Professor Gerald are working on an equation together. That Will has not changed his pants, and at this point in the movie, his shirt either, since the first scene. And, unless he's forced to change these pants with the paint on him, he's always wearing them in the movie. So, this kid has nothing. He has nothing except his intelligence and his fists. And oh man, I don't know, man. This character's so flushed out, Mikki.
I agree. I love when he calls her and he kind of like as an aside is like, hey, you don't happen to be pre-law. You know what I mean? Like he's just, I love his character because he's, like you said, he's very multidimensional, but part of him is so cocky.
Yeah.
Like when he's in the courtroom and he's like, well, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. He's super cocky. And I think if he wasn't hanging out with the crew that he was hanging out with, I don't know. Would he be as cocky if he were, you know what I mean? If he was just kind of a loner, or does it come from that kind of camaraderie that he has with his group of guys that are, always there with him. You know what I mean? Because they are just relentless. They're just nonstop ragging on each other. So,
I don't know if Will survives if he's a loner. I think Will, offs himself because Will is a shit show who is brilliant. I mean, let's be real. Will is a pretender. He's cocky because that's like a turtle. It's the outer hard exterior before you get to the soft inner stuff, right? And he can't, kind of reveal that to anybody. Now his boys, they don't have to see that, right? That's a bond between men that are loyal to one another, regardless of whatever. I don't care if it's a fucking alien invasion. Those four guys are going to ride or die together for as long as they're able to do so, right? And it's the kind of thing where that's, Robin Williams' character says it to Lambo at one point, and he's like, that's where he generates everything from. That's his power, and like I mentioned before, the scene where Affleck says to him, I'll fucking kill you.
Yeah.
You have the ability to go do greater things. Now go do greater things.
Yeah.
And it's hard for Will to understand that because he just wants to kind of put that aside and just live life and not be bothered and whatever. But, you know, Will is a mess, and you know, it takes a little bit for him. Like you said, Des, Skylar has a lot of advantages, money advantages, family advantages. You know, she's obviously going places, she's going to med school, this and that. And Will kind of self-imposes this difference. She never brings it up, right? To her, she likes Will for Will. And he's having real problems with that because he doesn't like Will for Will. He thinks he's a fucking train wreck, and he's like, why would she like me?
Well, and he's also inventing a version of himself that he thinks will jive with her, and he's obviously afraid that he's going to be, you know, discovered. And you know, so he's gonna, you know, set up these landmines, but we're gonna get to that. But Tony, you know, this movie lays down the foundation so well that everything it does is intentional for later moments in the movie that will just blow my mind with how well they're written and how well they're set up and how well they're layered. I mean, you said that, you know, his crew will never see that side of him because he will never show that to them. We see this cocky kid. He seems bulletproof, right? And the director is also not going to let us, the viewers, see that side of him yet. And that's very important to this movie, you know? So fuck, man. We're off to a really strong start here.
I just love Skylar's character because, well, first of all, I'm a big Minnie Driver fan. I loved her in Grosse Pointe Blank as well. But in this role, she gets to be her. She doesn't have an American accent. She is, you know, using her native tongue, if you will, and speaking in Brit. So it's not English, it's British. But anyway, and she gets to just be a girl that thinks Will is novel. You know what I mean? He's interesting. He's depth. He's whatever. And although he's difficult to deal with her, she kind of just maneuvers and meanders. And although she's very smart, she keeps telling him, you can't help me. I have to learn things. You know, she's like very grounded. She's exactly what this kid needs. He just can't quite see through the camouflage that, you know, she is genuine and good and decent, and she has heart. And he has it too. It's buried under 10 pounds of shit. And he's just got to dig through it to get to that point.
Yeah, well, you know, it's made clear that he has limited experience with women in this movie and almost no experience as far as an emotional connection with a woman. I mean, any experience he's had up to this point is probably just sexual and fleeting, you know, a night or whatever.
Sure.
And, you know, the closest thing this kid's ever had to family is, you know, the 5 guys that we see, his crew. And, you know, you're only going to get, especially in Boston, you know, you're not going to get a lot of touchy-feely love from your friends, right? I mean, you're just not going to get that. So, you know, he is definitely treading on new ground with Skylar. This is something that's brand new to him. And it's a very, very nice subplot to this movie. It has a lot of heart. It really does. Okay, so 5 psychologists failed to connect with Will. Out of sheer desperation, Lambo finally calls on psychiatrist Sean McGuire, an estranged old friend at MIT, classmate of his who he grew up with in the same neighborhood as Will. Sean differs from his 5 predecessors in that he is from Will's neighborhood and pushes back at Will, and eventually is able to get through Will and his hostile, sarcastic defense mechanisms. At one point, Will analyzes a watercolor painting that Sean had done himself and concludes that it reflects Sean's suppressed feelings and guilt over the premature death of his wife. Sean becomes offended and hostile and grabs Will by the throat, threatening to kill him if he continues to talk shit on his wife. Will ends the appointment and walks out. Lambo walks in believing that Will had ruined his chances with another therapist. However, Sean sees Will as a challenge and tells Lambo to bring him back each week. Meanwhile, Will begins a relationship with Skylar. Though he's less forthcoming about his actual life, he won't take her to his place and lies about having a bunch of brothers. You know, I'm going to let you go, Glenn, but I just wanted to say something about this because it really struck me at the moment. You know, he talks about having this, 10 brothers, 12 brothers. I mean, in his defense, he went through the foster system. You know what I mean? So is he lying? Yes. Has he lived with probably a dozen or more other kids that were foster brothers and sisters? Yes. I think he's confused. I just don't think he knows how to process his life and explain it to somebody that could never understand it.
So I hadn't seen this in a very long time, and I was actually legitimately surprised when Sean grabs Will by the throat.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great scene because we're dealing with a psychologist and a genius mathematician who are really dealing. This is actually two men that are from Southie that are harboring their own traumas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's this genius mathematician, it's this psychologist, but deep down, these are wounded people, and they're both wounded in their own ways. I'd also like to talk about Minnie Driver. As Tony said, she's fucking fantastic in this role. In specific, the scene in the joke shop. I loved her in this scene, playing off the lady and the glasses, and it all felt so natural and it flowed so good, almost to the point between this shot in the joke shop and then the tasty in Harvard Square. She's almost acting circles around Damon because he's still pretty green in this movie, and he seems a little stiff in comparison. Now, is he a little stiff because that's who Will is? Probably. But she just felt so fluid. It was really an interesting juxtaposition for me.
Yeah, I thought that Robin Williams and Matt Damon could not have acted any better in this movie. I didn't see one moment where he felt green at all to me. But it's art and everybody reads it differently. Mm-hmm. The scene where fucking Sean grabs Will by the throat. First of all, I want to say that Robin Williams went for it. Right? Like it's legit. And second of all, in Boston and with men like this, I mean, Robin Williams in this movie, he really played this character deep because they make a point of showing things on the walls. Like, he was a vet, Vietnam. He's an old dog, but he's still got plenty of dog in him. And Will knows it. Like, I didn't think for 1 minute that if Will had gone back at him, that Robin Williams' inner dog and inner pain would have come out like it did for Matt Damon on that basketball court. And I think he would have fucking given Damon a beating. I just really do. And for Robin Williams to pull that off against a young Matt Damon, it's just really a tip of the hat to how good he fucking played this character. We get these scenes where Will is again undressing people. This time he's undressing these different therapists and he's preying on their inner fears. I mean, he reads this guy's book. He analyzes him as a closeted homosexual, and he's confronting him with this idea. And this guy, this psychiatrist from Harvard, he doesn't want to hear this. And rather than face this kid, he just says, no, I don't want any more. And then the hypnotherapist, this guy's used to people like wanting to be hypnotized, wanting to make him feel like the shit. And again, Will just makes a fool out of him. And the guy doesn't want to face the fact that, it didn't work. He wasn't able to hypnotize this kid. And now he's got to face the idea of how many people just wanted to be hypnotized. Is he as good as he thinks? I don't want to deal with this kid. Get him out of here. Bring me someone easier. This is great. Then we meet Professor Sean McGuire, a streetwise professor. He's from Bunker Hill Community College, not Harvard, not MIT. This is the perfect foil for Will. And I have a fun fact. So I went to Bunker Hill Community College. Well, I should say I went to Bunker Hill Community College for one day. I visited once. A friend of mine, I remember the day perfectly. My buddy Nicky was taking a course there for video production, movie making type stuff. And he was doing a project for one of his classes. They were going to do a commercial. And me and my buddy Mike, we were going to be in this short commercial. It was like for buying baseball cards, something like that. And he was shooting this thing at 9 a.m. So me and Mike got there at about 8:30. And remember, we were sitting out in the parking lot of Bunker Hill Community College. We had a pint of Sambuca. We sucked it down. We had a half a gram of Coke. We did a bunch of lines, and we went into this fucking class destroyed, so high and just crazy, bug-eyed, insane. And we did this commercial, and we were so fucking unhinged, but everybody loved it and it came out fucking great. But I digress, right? But this is how we did it. Like, this is how you do it in Boston. Do it fucking raw and crazy.
Alrighty then.
Next, we get this meeting between Will and Sean, and it's incredible. You know, finally, Will has met someone whom he can relate with, but who can also match his wits. And for me, the viewer, this is very satisfying. It was such a slow build up to this, to finally get someone that's going to challenge Will. And watching Will scan Sean's office with his eyes while he's putting together this quick profile of who he thinks Sean is before being, gut checked by Sean. This was incredible. Oh man, it's as good as it gets. It absolutely moved me. I loved the scene. And finally, what was great about this relationship between Will and Skylar was that intellectually and academically, he's not intimidated by Skylar at all. But her strong family dynamic and this class divide is more than he can handle, even though it's not a problem for her. And as a viewer, I just wanted to save this guy. I mean, this whole section just so good, Mikki.
I agree. And to be honest with you, the scene with Skylar in the joke shop, that was probably my favorite scene with Minnie Driver. I thought it was so natural and just so, like, it didn't seem like they were acting. You know what I mean? And the scene with Robin Williams, I can't think of anyone else that could have played that role as the therapist better than Robin Williams. He and Matt Damon complement each other so nicely on screen.
Magic.
That the scene when he has him by the throat and throws him against the wall and says, "I will end you." You can tell he's not playing around. He's not fucking around. He has this kid's number. It's such a powerful scene to see the dynamic between the two and to see it start to build. One of my favorite scenes with them is coming up when they're on the park bench.
Oh my God, Mikki, it's my favorite scene in the entire movie. It's one of the best moments on screen.
Yeah.
Sean's speech there is some of the best dialogue in modern film history, if you ask
so
me, because it's
phenomenal.
just so poignant and so straight away. But
yeah,
I even think that every man in this film, all the lead men, Professor Lambeau, Sean Maguire, Will Hunting, they're all broken in an effect, right? Because you learn, the more we understand the history between Lambeau and Maguire, that they were competitors.
Yeah.
Originally in MIT, right? And he throws the Fields Medal and this and that, and I got the awards and you didn't, and then you went back to school for psychology at some point later on. But it was the kind of thing where there was definitely some bad blood. The key is that I think Lambeau is a fragile character too. He doesn't know quite what to do with Will Hunting because he's like, wait a minute, no one should be this good.
Yeah,
the shit that I am doing, this kid is undoing. At in minutes, and
I think that there's a little part of him too that might be a little envious.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a scene where he falls to his knees at Will's feet when he's just burned the answer to
the correct mathematical equation,
and he's blubbering on the floor saying, "I can't do this. I can't do this." Like, it goes deeper than just being envious. It's like, yeah. Oh,
yeah, all the mains are just busted up people who are just trying to make it from day to day. You know what I mean? And it's the kind of thing too. Even the TA or the graduate assistant, the guy with the glasses who is Lambeau's right-hand man, he's jealous as hell. He doesn't like Will. Lambeau comes in and he says to him, "Get us some coffee." Kind of like, you're just a fucking servant.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, you're my old best friend. You're my old best friend. This is my new best friend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This kid is the new shining star and you're just some afterthought. So everybody's got a little bit of an axe to grind. But I think that the best scene with Skylar, though, is in the bar, right? She meets the crew. She does not turn her nose up. She is just one of the boys.
And the cum joke where she's
that's fucking hilarious. I knew it was coming and it is still hilarious. And I don't give a shit. I would go tell that joke 4 times at a bar just to see the reaction because she plays it well.
But it felt so genuine. She was trying to show Will and his friends, I'm from Harvard. I have money, but I'm still a fucking person. And I don't look down on you guys. Let's do this thing.
Right on.
And we talked about...
Which is really hard because she knows no one there. She's thrown into the total, the lion's den. This is their hangout spot. And she just picks the ball up and runs with it like it was no big deal.
Absolutely. And we talked about in Magnolia about, how important it is to care for characters. And, it's not easy to do. Like, you can give you a movie like that where, you should. Dude, we're fucking half an hour into this movie. I fucking care about every character in this movie. Like, my heart bleeds for every single character. I am rooting for this friendship between Sean and Matt. I want this to work more than anything in the world. I want Matt to be able to just put his card down and be with Skylar. It's so important to me. And that is just the sign of how fucking well this movie is written. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Damn straight. I concur.
Dude, this one got me, man. I just could not have been any more.
Bro, you're on a ripper tonight.
Yeah,
Keep
this
going.
This one did it for me. This one really fucking lit my fucking candle.
By the way, I can't tell you. I don't know the spots where the bars are, but when there's the scene with Sean and Jerry, and obviously it's Sean's kind of place because he knows the bartender and the guy down the way, and I see a jar of pickled eggs on the bar, and I'm just like, fuck, I just went back in time. I love that shit. I'm like, that's so fucking any northeastern city. I could be a steel town.
Like, look at the pickled eggs on the bar.
I'm like, look at that. Pickled eggs on the bar. That is so fucking old man shit. I love it.
That's fucking.
And I love the fact that the bartender, by the way, who's only a bit part, but he has the world's ugliest fucking sweater.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows, you know what I mean? He's like the most intelligent bartender in all of fucking South Boston. Lambo doesn't understand the references Sean is making, but the bartender picks up on them great. So
with the Unabomber.
Yeah, well, yeah, but he knows all the people. If I asked 10 people in any city who Jonas Salk was, they'd get it fucking wrong. Isn't that guy from Tesla? No, that's not him.
Well, I mean
most people don't even know what polio is, thanks to Jonas Salk. So
it's obvious that, the director is trying to tell us that Sean is the Will Hunting of his generation, of his crew of guys, he's this kid, sure, he's colleagues with Lambo, but, Lambo had all the, the benefits of, being able to go to the best school, probably had a lot of money. And, Sean, it's going to come out in the end, was also abused. His father beat the fuck out of him. He had no money. He was from a lower, class neighborhood, took beatings to save his wife and his mother and his siblings.
Brother.
Yeah. And, again, it's just like, could you possibly give me a better foil for Will Hunt? No, this is Will. It's magnificent.
Sure, absolutely. And it's the kind of thing too where you can see it. That's why Will is so taken aback by Sean's inner rage when he starts to call Sean out.
Yeah.
And you can see his face. I'll give Matt Damon credit. He plays it well because the last thing he expected was McGuire to go totally unprofessional, grab him by the Adam's apple and just about fucking rip it out of his throat and go, I will fucking end you. And you can see in his eyes, he's absolutely means it.
Yeah.
There is no question or reservation. Punch me as much as you want. You won't so much as hurt me. I will fucking kill you right here in this office.
But what was great, right, was that Will didn't have a look of fear in his eyes. He was challenged and he liked it. It made him feel alive.
I think he was shit scared because you got to remember too, Will is still like 6.
No,
he's just a grown up.
He's already said through exposition, why did you choose the wrench? Because fuck him. He's not afraid. This kid wants to die. Beat me as hard as you want.
That's what I said. Without his crew, I think he would have killed himself. If he was a loner, I could see this guy doing something to harm himself because he's a shit show as a human being. He's just broken and but he's got a safety net of people that keep him from going off the rails.
I got more of like a look, like a chuckle. Like I got this guy's goat. Like, let's see where this goes. This is interesting. Like he's finally been challenged by someone and he's interested. Like I really felt like it was just like enticing to Will. Like, wow, who's this guy? What is this
I think
about?
it was honestly a combination of both.
Yeah.
I think. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think at first he was like, "Oh fuck," and then he was like, "Oh, I got him. I got him."
Yeah. Yeah. What's this? This is
Yeah.
interesting. So Will and Sean begin meeting regularly while Will continues to work with Lambeau on math problems. In one lesson, Will is particularly struck when Sean tells him how he gave up his tickets to see the Red Sox in the 1975 World Series, missing Fisk's famous home run in Game 6, in order to meet and spend time with a stranger in a bar who would later become his wife. The doctor-patient relationship, however, is far from one-sided. Will changes Sean in the same way that Sean is encouraging Will to take a good look at himself and his life. Meanwhile, Lambeau pushes Will so hard to excel that Will eventually refuses to go to the job interviews that Lambeau arranges for him, going so far as to send his buddy Chucky in his place, which embarrasses Lambeau. Lambeau and Sean also squabble about Will's future. Will is accidentally witnessing one of these furious arguments, and somehow this is a catalyst for his decision to enter a deeper level of trust and sharing with his therapist, Sean.
So the scene with them talking about the 1975 World Series is such a wonderful way to weave the real world into this movie world, right? Also, I love the touch at the end of the movie with Sean wearing his Red Sox jacket. It's so Southie. It's so Massachusetts. I was like, love it. Also, when I rewatched this scene with Chucky in the meeting in his ill-fitting suit with the light blue loafers and the tube socks, I fucking lost it. It is hilarious. I don't know who dreamed up this scene or why, but it's so good. It's so funny. And this is that moment of laughter that we need in the middle of all of these kind of intense emotional scenes, you know?
Yeah, this is what keeps the pacing of the movie going and keeps it from dragging down into something like The Bucket List or something that's just completely sad that you just don't really, you know it's great cinema, but it kind of starts to drag you down. This has those uplifting moments.
Yeah, because you stop enjoying it and it's more like a downer, like you said.
Yeah, it's a palate cleanser. So fun fact, I've actually have every single year Carlton Fisk card from his rookie year to his last year PSA graded. So there you go. There's some bean down in the kid. So Mickey, we're going to talk about it here. We get this unbelievably amazing scene where Sean talks to Will on the park bench and lays his life experiences out to Will is more than just a chapter in a book, and exposes Will to the idea that he's book smart but lacks life experience. And this is where he gains Will's respect. And for me, this is one of the best scenes of the movie. Robin Williams is absolutely amazing here. I was fighting back tears during this scene. And it's not even just so much about the scene. It's about the way, this is like one of those moments in a movie like the end of Usual Suspects, where this scene starts to unfold in front of your eyes. Like at first you're hearing him telling Will these stories, these ideas, but you start to realize he's telling Will about his life experience, and he's comparing his life experience to Will's book experience of life. Mm-hmm. And you start to see Will looking at Sean through a different lens, like, wow, this guy lived a life before I walked into his office. Like, this guy has a lot of miles on his car. This guy, fought in wars, held his friend's guts in on the battlefield, has watched a woman die, has loved and lived. And in that moment, Will really, I think, sees himself through a different lens that he's never seen himself through before. And it's so humbling, and it brings him down a level. And just this whole combination of this acting, this on-screen chemistry, this amazing storytelling and script writing, it blew me out of the fucking water. Mickey.
I agree. When he says things like, if I asked you about art, you'd probably give me the skinny, but you couldn't tell me what it smells like in the Sistine Chapel. You know what I mean? He's like, and the thing that I loved is when he said, if I asked you about love, you'd probably quote me a sonnet, but you've never looked at a woman and been totally vulnerable. You wouldn't know what it's like to be her angel. That, like, I get choked up just thinking about it, because that scene, I think that scene is like I don't know how to word it, but like the climax of their
Seminal
relationship is like that scene right
nucleus.
there. Yes. It's so good. I mean, Robin Williams, did he get an Oscar for this?
I hope so.
I feel like he did. And I love when he said, I don't give a shit about it because I can't learn anything from you that I can't read in a fucking book unless you want to talk about who you are.
Yeah.
And then when he says it's your move, Chief, I fucking love that because he's like, I am here. I will help you in any way that I can, but you have to let me help you. I fucking love that scene.
By the way, he did win Best Supporting Actor, and that was also the Best Original Screenplay.
Oh,
he was also
awesome.
nominated for Best Picture and Best Actor in Matt Damon, but they did not win those.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this was Matt Damon's first film and Ben Affleck too, was it? I think.
Ben Affleck was probably in Clerks before this, if I had to guess.
Mallrats.
Oh, Mallrats.
I have to say, I love, this is the Ben Affleck that I like.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Old school, like fresh out of the gate Ben Affleck. Not so much new Ben Affleck, but.
So, Mickey, that scene sets up this next scene where Will is going to break the silence with a joke. So, Sean decides, he says to Lambo, I can't talk first now. It's like, this is it. Now, this is a Mexican standoff. Will has to break the silence. He has to want to talk to me. So Will does, and he breaks the silence with a joke. It's a funny one, right? He asks, did you actually do that? He goes, no, but, it's more funny if I was there, right? So he breaks the silence with the joke so he can get some advice on his relationship with Skylar. What a pivotal moment in the movie and his character. The moment when Sean reveals to Will he's not calling Skylar because he's afraid he will expose himself and his true situation in life. I couldn't have loved this anymore. On that park bench, Will finally saw this man has something to offer me. Like, I'm scared. I can't handle this relationship with this woman. And, this guy's talking about things that I need an in on. I need to understand this stuff. So he breaks the silence because he wants help. He wants his therapist to help him with his relationship with Skylar. And I just thought it was fucking amazing. And the Game 6 speech, this literally brought me to tears. And the on-screen chemistry between Matt Damon and Robin Williams, it was magical. Like Delin said, with Robin Williams and Matt Damon, pushing their arms off to the left, go, and then cutting to Carlton Fisk doing the same. Oh, man, it was amazing. And Delin, you'll always be that girl in the bar for me.
That's very sweet.
Mickey.
Aww. Now
Hey,
I'm all
Mick.
oogie. You got me all
I don't
oogie
like the
now.
Red Sox, so I would have stayed at the bar too.
Oh, God.
How's that?
Not quite as sweet, but very nice.
I'm a Yankees fan, so there you go.
Thanks. Oh God. They are, to me, one of the biggest losses in entertainment was Robin Williams.
Yeah.
The man, I don't think he's ever done anything poorly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's amazing. I actually saw him live. He was his last comedy tour. Absolutely phenomenal. I love the scene with them. I love that Will is finally realizing, okay, I think this guy's legit. I think he truly does want to help me, and I think he understands what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
Their chemistry, like you said, is off the charts, and whoever did the casting for this is like chef's kiss because it was fantastic.
Yeah, I think the scene, I'm going to say it this way. It's really not meant to be that, but Robin Williams really kind of breaks Will's shell. You know what I mean? He breaks through it, I guess is a better way to phrase it, because, he looks at him and says, it's not your fault. And he's like, yeah, I know. And you can tell he's got like a little kind of grimace in the corner of his mouth. And he's like, it's not your fault. And then he finally gets him to just come unglued, which is just the catharsis of, Will having all this pent up rage and angst and guilt and pain and you name it. Right. And once he's got him there, he knows that that's the breakthrough that could actually start to help Will out with whatever he's doing, because, he's reached him, if you will. And that scene is extremely deep and powerful. But the scene at the pond is great. Will is kind of off put. He's like, oh, we're going on a field trip, because he's just kind of cocky, and he is what he is. And Sean's got him in the palm of his hand, and he knows he's going to bring him there just so he can be introspective, and he's going to give him that speech. And it's a beautiful piece of work. Yeah. And it's just, it's a remarkable. And it's the kind of thing too, where I think that's Sean going, there is another dimension to me that I need to try and open up. I'll go back to the conversation between Sean and Ben Affleck, where he says, you're still doing this in 20 years. I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Because of the idea that, he just flat out says, you have a gift and you're too stupid to fucking use it. What are you doing?
Another great setup for later in the movie too. Like, just everything is intentional. Everything's intentional and pays off. And, going to that park bench, Tony, you really laid it out. You think we're going to get more of the same here, more of the same, Will being cocky, this is going to be light. He's going to dismiss, Sean. We're going to get more jokes. The director knows that that's not what's going to happen. And Sean knows that's not what's going to happen. And as the viewer, I just assume it is. So that just makes this scene hit even fucking harder. It came out of nowhere.
Right.
Skylar asked Will to move to California with her, where she will attend medical school at Stanford. Will panics at the thought. Skylar then expresses support about his past, which is received as patronizing and triggers a tantrum in which Will storms out of the dorm while still half undressed. He gets very close here to crossing the line. Like, he reels it in at the last second. He throws her up against that door, and I'm like, uh-oh. Don't do something that you're not going to be able to come back from. But he doesn't. And, I thought the director right here really took a chance. Because for a minute, you're like, fuck, she shouldn't be with this guy, right? He shrugs off the work he's doing for Lambo as a joke, even though Lambo is incapable of solving some of these theorems? Thereminds? I don't know. What are they called?
Theorems.
Yeah, whatever. And admittedly,
equations.
And let's just go with equations. And immediately envies Will. Lambo begs Will not to throw it all away, but Will walks out on him anyway. Sean points out that Will is so adept at anticipating failure in his romantic relationships that he either allows them to fizzle out or deliberately bails in order to avoid the risk of future emotional pain. When Will then provides a whimsical reply to Sean's very serious query of what he wants to do with his life, Sean simply shows him the door. When Will further tells his best friend, Chucky, that he wants to be a laborer for the rest of his life, Chucky becomes brutally honest with Will. He feels it's an insult for Will to waste his potential as a laborer, and that his reoccurring wish is to knock on Will's door in the morning when he picks him up from work and to find that he just isn't there, and that he is left without saying goodbye. I get choked up just reading that, because for me, when that actually happens, it was like, it destroyed me. Destroyed me.
The scene where Will essentially embarrasses Lambeau is something else. The fact that he's so easily solving these things that learned men with months and years of work are struggling to do. It's crushing to Lambeau's ego. And he is very ego-driven. I think that his plan was to enjoy being Will's patron, his trick that he would, trot out at parties, getting accolades for seeing the talent in this man and saving him, quote unquote. But Lambeau was coming from a selfish place, if you ask me, because it seems like he often is coming from a selfish place. And I believe that Sean is the opposite of that. He's not coming from a selfish place. He's coming from the place of wanting Will to do better with his life and to be happy.
Yeah, because I think that Sean sees himself in Will.
Yes.
You know, but he knows that this, like, we'll get there, but at the end where he says, the last time they see each other, he says, hey, I took that job. Sean's not happy for him. Sean knows that he's settling. This isn't what he should be doing. Sean wants him to go out to California and experience the world and expand his world past fucking South Boston. So I thought that was really great. We get this scene where Skylar asks Will to move to California with her, but Will's insecurities blow up the relationship. And this is where it reveals his horrifying past. This is a stab wound. These are cigarette burns. I mean, this is heavy exposition, and it just makes you care for this kid even more. And you see him through her eyes, and you want him to see himself through her eyes, but he can't. And that for me was fucking heartbreaking. He refused to say I love you back to her. And to see how hurt she was as he was leaving. Oh man, I'm getting choked up thinking about it. The acting, the writing, the exposition, it's beautiful. Next we get the scene with Will interviewing at the NSA. And this cuts to Will citing government politics and human morality. This exposition is absolutely brilliant character building for me. Like, again, it's all book smart stuff. It's all stuff that he's read, but these are moral fibers that he believes, however he got this, he believes in these things, even though he doesn't have any real world experience, he knows the NSA is wrong and he knows he doesn't want any part of it. On a side note, I'd love to spend an hour a week talking with someone like Sean. I mean, this is the therapist of my dreams. But in this country, that kind of help only exists for like wealthy people. And that's very sad, it'd be a dream for someone to like drag me into someone's office like that and be like, hey, you're going to talk to this guy for an hour a week. I'd be like, fuck yeah. Like, I'll jerk that guy off for that hour if that's what it takes. You know what I mean?
You can't bring the Oculus to the meeting. Okay, let's not go there.
No, that's how you do it by
remote on a Zoom.
Zoom. We get this quick call where Skylar says, I love you. And again, Will cannot pull the trigger. She wants him to break down and come with her. You can see she's, scanning the airport for him before she gets on the plane. He doesn't show up. We get this scene of him sitting on a park bench outside the airport, watching the plane take off. This would presumably be like East Boston. Just again, really sad. I'm choked up. My eyes are watering.
You're like rooting. You're rooting for them.
I am. And my heart is breaking for both of them. And finally, we get this great scene between Chucky and Will. And again, it's painfully honest. It's just honest. It's an honest moment. And, I don't think that it hurts that these guys are like really friends. And it's really playing that way on screen. And when Chucky realizes that Will left without him, oh God, without saying goodbye, when he looks in that window and sees the apartment is empty, and, his heart is like broken, but he's got this nice smile on his face as he's walking back to the car. He says, the guy's, he's not there. And, and his real life brother runs around and now, he gets shotgun going forward.
Yeah. It's a promotion in the car.
But that fucking moment where I literally right now have tears in my eyes. I'm fighting back, breaking up, just thinking about this fucking scene because it really hit me so deeply. But to bring me from that emotional state to where I'm a mess watching him look through that window and walk back half hurt, half gutted, half happy for his friend. And I'm just like, I can barely take the sadness anymore. And then we get this great fucking comedic scene of the kid jumping in the front seat and Chucky being like, fuck it, you got shotgun. You know what I mean? Oh my God, it's brilliant.
I agree. The scene when she asks him to go and they have the huge fight and he blows up at her. That scene was so well played out, and you could see she really did a good job of, like, she wanted to help him. She wanted him to know that even she may not understand what he went through, but she wanted to support him in that. And you're really rooting for them in that scene. And his, he just he can't get past it. He can't get over the, the class difference or whatever you want to call it. And he can't just let himself be vulnerable yet with her. That was a really good scene. And I agree with you. There was like, he was like almost at the edge of doing something really stupid.
Yeah.
And when Ben Affleck, goes to pick him up, and he's, you can see it's kind of dawning on him. And I have to say, Ben Affleck did a really good job of
brilliant,
not like kind of being disappointed, but kind of being happy.
Oh.
He did a really good job because you could really see that on his face. The scene, I will tell you, the scene for me that was, besides the park bench scene, the scene for me that got me really choked up, only because I can understand it, was when Sean kept saying to Will, "It's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. It's not," you know what I mean? Repeating it and repeating it. And I will say, as a person with, an addictive parent, going through not necessarily all of the physical stuff that he went through in foster homes, but just, a lot of that, and that took, me a lot longer than 20 to hear that, to understand what those words meant. That scene to me gave me chills because I understood exactly what Will was going through when he was hearing Sean say that. It's not your fault. It wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. And I'm like, Jesus, I wish I had someone at that age telling me that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because mine was a lot later in life, but it was such an emotional. I can't say enough about Robin Williams' performance in this. It was just out of this world.
I mean, Mikki, I asked all you guys if you cried. None of you said. You guys said you were a little choked up, and nobody actually cried. I'm still processing like a horrifying childhood. So I think that I really just connected with this character, and I think that that's why this movie touched me so much. You were talking about how Ben Affleck played that moment when he went to, Will's window, and he kind of felt melancholy, but also relieved. I felt the exact same emotion the character was feeling. And again, this movie just sucks your ass in. Yeah. I mean,
so well done.
Those scenes. I mean, I think that like you said, Ben Affleck is thrilled, but melancholy, but sad. He expected to never have that happen, but he's thrilled that it did because that's what he really wanted for his friend. I think the other thing is the bond of that group of goofballs in Southie is totally put out there when they scrape together the money to get him a car, right? And it's a piece of shit, but as Cole Hauser's character says, Billy, it's a good motor. It's going to get you where you need to go.
Love that.
I mean, that's a guy thing to tell another guy. Fuck the way it looks. It doesn't have a radio, but you don't fucking need that. It's a good motor. It's going to get you where you need to go. What does my wife say though? She goes, "Do you think he really made it to California?" I'm like, "Yeah, I thought Billy said it had a good motor. Motherfucking car got him there."
I thought the same thing, but I'm thinking, his boy is, he's a mechanic. He went through that car. I trust that car like I trust his friends.
That's right. And you know what? It's a straight 6. You can't hurt it. Shoot it with a shotgun, hit it with a sledgehammer. It's just going to keep running.
There's no computer.
Keep gas and oil in it, and you're all set.
There's no computer. You can fix a car from that era with you have a Phillips head and a flathead. There's nothing you can't fix on that car. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so let's go to the final act of this movie. Will goes to another therapy session where he and Sean share that they were both victims of child abuse. At first, Will is defensive and resentful at Sean's repeated reassurances that it's not your fault. But he eventually breaks down in tearful acknowledgement. Finally, after much self-reflection, Will decides to cease being a victim of his own inner demons and to take charge of his life. When his buddies present him with a rebuilt Chevy Nova, fun fact, my first car, for his 21st birthday, he decides to go to California and reunite with Skylar. Setting aside his lucrative corporate and government job offers, Will leaves a brief note for Sean explaining what he's doing using one of Sean's own quips, "I had to go see about a girl." Sean also leaves to travel the world, though not before reconciling with Lambo. The movie ends as Chucky...
Poignantly.
Oh, man, I hate big... Sean also leaves to travel the world, though not before reconciling with Lambo. This movie ends as Chucky poignantly discovers in fulfillment of his own long-standing wish that Will is left for a better life. Will is then shown starting his life-affirming drive to California for a new beginning with Skylar and a leap into an unpredictable future. Dylan.
This is such a nice ending, really. They go full circle with Sean's quote and Will riding off into the sunset, essentially. Will's emotional breakthrough felt real to me, and his encouragement from his closest friends to chase a real life outside of Southie and the invisible walls he's put up around him. It felt really genuine, and I really can't fault this ending at all.
Yeah, this ending is fucking amazing for me. It's this whole movie built like a volcano. And just, there was never a moment it wasn't deliberately building and bringing us to this very moment, and everything pays off perfectly. Sean knows that for Will, being a successful mathematician in the white collar world is not his dream. I mean, we already know that Will would be very happy just being a laborer his whole life and raising kids, and that would be fine for him. And that's probably actually what he wants. What he needs is some life experience. He needs to go out and see more than Southie, even if his path brings him back to Southie, much like myself, as I went off and discovered the world. Went to California first, looking for a girl. Where did I wind up at the end of the day? I'm back here in Boston, but I've lived everywhere. This is what he wanted for Will. So when he learns that Will is not going to do the white collar corporate thing and remain in Boston, he's happy for him. Even if Will becomes a laborer, even if he marries Skylar or doesn't marry Skylar, if he goes out and he gains the life experience and he's able to quote these amazing facts and sound intelligent while quoting his own stories the way that Sean did on that park bench. This is an intelligent man speaking intelligently about life experience on top of what he's learned from books. This is what Will is missing in his life. He's not missing a paycheck. He's not missing a big house or nice clothes. He doesn't care about these things. He is starving for this experience and this depth to his character that Sean showed him on that park bench. And oh man, if I didn't think that was the most satisfying ending ever. This final act, brutally emotional, and it had me on the ropes till the final bell. Every second I invested in this movie paid off in aces. This scene with Sean finally breaking through to Will, this was gut-wrenching when he finally grabbed him that final time and pulled him in and said, "It's not your fault," and Will just broke down in tears. This is lightning in a jar between two actors. And I also want to point out two acting moments in this movie that I thought were beyond brilliant. When Skylar is bent over in her dorm room, gut crying, I never doubted for a moment that she wasn't digging up some past memory from her own life, the actress. To get to that moment, it felt so real to me. And then that moment where Will goes from being defensive and saying, "Don't do this, Doc," to where that final, "It's not your fault," and he just falls to pieces in Sean's arms. This is the first time this has ever happened for this man in his entire life. He trusts somebody enough to completely open himself up. And God, if I didn't fucking I cried. I went downstairs, Lynn was on the couch. I was fucking in tears. I just shoved my face into the cushion of the couch and just bawled for 10 minutes. Fucking Christ. Fucking Mickey, talk about the end.
That was so, you really said it. I mean, it was just so, it was so well done. And, like, again, the scene with, him pulling him in and him finally just letting go, that he finally, like, maybe felt a little bit of peace.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And oh my God, like he's got his friends, he's got his crew. He can't get that kind of peace with his friends like that.
He's probably never hugged anybody in his life.
Right. Maybe Chucky, but I doubt it. But like nothing like the way Sean got through to him. And I think he, like I said, I just think he finally felt peace. Like this guy gets it. He gets it. And you know what? Maybe it's not my fault. And I think, you know, for him to go off to California, even if he doesn't, you know, maybe he gets there and Skylar says, go screw or whatever. I think that whole experience, you know, I'm guessing, but would be very grounding for Will. And that's what he needs. He needs to be grounded and not just, you know, like in terms of, hey, you know, I want to be a laborer and have some kids and whatever. That's fine. I mean, like really grounded. He's not. He's completely like off the fucking chain. So I just think those last couple scenes were so great. And, you know, using his quote on him before he leaves, and then Sean realizing what's happening. It was like the perfect ending.
It was beautiful when he sees him up in the apartment and chooses not to, like, he wants that last moment they had to be the last moment.
Right.
And it was so satisfying. And when he's driving off and we're watching the scene, you know, I know a lot of people probably are thinking, you know, did he get the girl? Did she forgive him? You know, was it too late? Had she met someone else? Had she decided to dig into her studies and maybe she didn't want to pursue a relationship anymore? You know, we don't know. But what we do know is that Will is off on an adventure. He's starting his life. He's going to California. Right. This is now a man who knows his worth, right? Like,
getting the girl is not the point.
Yes,
right.
getting the
I
girl
don't want to know.
Yeah, whether he gets Skylar or doesn't get Skylar, it doesn't matter because he's about to experience something new. And for me, that was satisfying enough. Tony, the end of the movie.
Yeah, honestly, I think that, you know, Will blows up the relationship with Skylar earlier just because he's not ready for it. But I think he also realizes that all of the obstacles that he put in his own mind in this relationship were self-induced trauma.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? In there. She's the one that says, I love you. She's the one that extends, you know, all of the kind of goodwill in the relationship. No pun intended.
Yep,
Sorry about that. I didn't even think of it. But it's the idea that, you know, he just can't reciprocate at that time because that's his defensive nature being drawn out again. And it's the kind of thing where, you know, she's not looking for the rebound guy. You know what I mean? If he's able to get to California, I'm sure that worked out. But like you said, Des, it doesn't matter. If it did or not, it's the idea that Will Hunting is doing shit for Will Hunting.
Yes.
And that's the coolest part. You know, at one point, Sean says to Jerry Lambeau, what does he want to do? Did you ask him?
Yeah.
And Lambeau, of course, says, wow, he's a brilliant mathematician. We're going to And it's like, don't you understand? This is a kid who's never been able to do his own thing. He's only been able to be put under rules and regulations of whatever, the system, foster care, you know, whatever. So now that he's calling shots and doing things, he's empowered and he's good to go. And he's gonna open up.
He says his dream isn't your dream. You know, this kid has his own dreams. But what's fun about, you know, imagining the end of this movie, I mean, honestly, he probably shouldn't be in a relationship that he's looking to, you know, make a long-term relationship at this point because he's just had his first breakthrough. This kid needs time, right, to find out who he is and probably be in some, you know, relationships to, you know, just, you know, like training relationships, if you will. You know what I mean? Normal people go through these relationships and learn a lot before they finally meet the woman they're going to settle down with. But the fact that he knows that he's turning down jobs that are 80 grand a year, you know, he now knows he could walk into any, you know, number crunching white collar world job and get it. He's just going to be like, fine, who are your applicants? You know, give me your toughest fucking question, anything, something no one can answer. And Will is making 80 grand a year in California. So the possibilities of what happened to this guy when he got to LA, he may be fucking the next Zuckerberg. I don't know. Maybe he fucking invented Facebook.
Yeah, because I think Will could do anything. Right?
He could.
He has brilliance for math, but obviously, he's also a part-time lawyer, and
Yes.
he's got a width and breadth of knowledge that is, second to none. So whatever he puts his mind to, he can pretty much accomplish.
So satisfying. And then we don't even talk about fucking Sean, and how satisfying. I mean, honestly, this movie could have ended completely differently. Will could have stayed in Boston and we would have all been disappointed. Oh, fuck, he's going to stick with Chucky and they're going to raise their kids and just fucking chuck cinder blocks for the rest of their lives. It would have been a disappointing ending for me. But then they show Sean deciding he's going to take another swing. He's going to get up at the plate again and take another swing. And we see Sean driving out west. I mean, that happens in this movie, but it's overshadowed by this great scene with Will leaving. So you got to remember, both of these men are getting a second chance at life. And oh, fuck, if that didn't make me feel good. Whew. Is that it?
Okay, Des,
Is that it?
You're rolling, bro.
All right.
Good.
All right. That's it. We discussed,
That's it.
We discussed this movie. We broke down Good Will Hunting. I kind of hijacked this one, but I don't know, man. I felt like I had to. I had a lot to say.
You did. You were great. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
Enjoyed
God. All right. So that's it. Let's head over to the recasting couch. Even though it would be total blasphemy to recast anybody in this movie, we're going to anyway. Okay. I am going to replace Minnie Driver with Fairuza Balk.
Minnie.
I am going to replace Minnie Driver with Fairuza Balk. That's mine.
Oh.
Dylan.
So I replaced the redheaded mechanic friend
Yep.
with Bill Burr because it just makes sense.
No, you got to do it with the kid from Cop Town. What's his face?
Like a Rappaport.
Yes, Michael Rappaport. I'm going with Michael Rappaport. I'm replacing the redhead kid with Michael Rappaport. Mickey, what are you doing?
I would possibly replace Lambo with Liam Neeson. And then
Because I will find you and you will do math problems.
and even though I loved Minnie Driver, maybe replace her with Emily Blunt.
Nice. Hey, what do you guys think about replacing Chucky with Mark Wahlberg?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
A different movie?
Yeah, I got to put it to you this way. I'm not a huge Ben Affleck fan.
I'm not
I like
either
some
at
of the
all.
stuff he's done. This is his masterpiece.
Oh, he's beautiful
Yeah.
in this.
Because this character is, he wrote it, so he should know it. Plus, it's the idea that he plays it to the nines. It's not a lead role, but it's important in the general scheme of things.
Absolutely.
I also think that you guys mentioned that they thought you weren't sure if this was his first role. I think his first role was actually Banyan in
Yes.
what is it?
Yeah.
Dazed and Confused.
Thank
Dazed and
you.
Confused.
Yeah.
I think that was his first role.
Okay.
Handing
Yeah,
out
Banyan,
spankings, hanging out whoopings to freshmen. What a fucking great role that was. He was great as Banyan, man. That was a thick, husky Ben Affleck. That wasn't the thin, good-looking Ben Affleck we get here. He was a husky boy in that one. Tony, recast this.
I concur with you, Des. To recast it is kind of a tragedy because everyone in this film is so well done. I thought Casey Affleck was just such a spaz. He's
He
just
was
bouncing
great.
around. You can't hear him and understand him half the time because he's muttering in like a Cockney. But if I had to take him out, I'm gonna go with. I apologize, guys. I don't even have a good one. I'm sorry. I
go
didn't
Sean
want to
Penn.
replace. I didn't want to replace anybody, but
Don't do
he would
it.
be the only guy that is mildly annoying. So
All right.
But the funny thing is, like you just, again, I don't know. I'm sure you have your Buffalo guys, Tony, but for Des and Dylan and me, like we know those guys. Like,
oh
those
no, I
guys
got you.
are,
I mean, even to the point, like Des was talking about the wardrobe. He wears the I fucking hate LA, and he's talking about the Lakers because that's at the point where the Celtics and the Lakers were having such a war every year in the finals. It was the Lakers and Celtics, and it's just so fucking dripping Boston, baby.
yeah.
So you gotta love it. You know what I mean? It just is what it is.
I'll tell you one wardrobe thing they did miss though was back then what we would have seen from these kids is they would have been wearing the short leather Nikes with either the black or the red swoosh, and they would have had their pants pegged at the bottom, which is where they would fold it once and then roll it up tight around their ankles.
I thought
And
only the rich kids.
that was
pegged it.
No. No. The thing that they got wrong about Boston fashion, especially when it comes to guys in Southie, is that at least 2 of them, if not all 4 of them, would have been in shorts. No matter what the degree was.
Regardless of what season it was.
Doesn't matter. And, and they all have either a Boston Red Sox tattoo, a Lucky the Leprechaun, or a Celtic cross
or a Bruins
on their
sign.
calf.
Yeah, but Dylan, that's more like 1993, 94, 98 Boston guy. Like, I think this was supposed to be. Wasn't this supposed to be a little?
No, this was 90s.
97.
90s.
All right, yeah,
97.
I guess we should have got some shorts and
There was
Celtic
no
crosses.
shorts.
Or
There should have been more shorts.
Well, yeah, and Celtic crosses.
My favorite, though, you got to love it. They're at the Little League baseball game. Not only are they heckling kids, but they're all drinking beer and paper sacks at the fucking Little League game. I mean, just classic shit, you know?
Best. All right, let's head over to the alternate endings. All right, I've got one for you. In my ending, Will finds Skylar in L.A., and she forgives him, and they fall deeply in love and live a perfect life in Marblehead, Massachusetts, where Will has Super Bowl parties in his giant house with Chucky and the guys, and their kids play Little League together, and Sean finds what he's been looking for, and I cry tears of happiness all the way home. The end. Dylan.
So nice.
Thank you.
Okay, so in mine, the Chevy Nova begins to act up when he gets on the Jersey Turnpike. He gets off of the turnpike looking for help, and he rolls to a stop in front of the Quick Stop where Jay and Silent Bob give him the fucking business.
Nice.
I love it.
Nice. I like it. I like it a lot. Oh, all right. 36 in a row. All right, let's score this sucker and we will get out of here. So for me, this movie has so much heart, it hurts. And between Robin Williams and Matt Damon, this is some of the best real life emotion I've ever seen on the big screen. It is a perfect 5, and it should be the top 5 on the 5 list that we have. Dylan.
How can I give it anything but a 5? I was toying with like 4.75, 4.99. Fucking come on. It's a 5.
It's a 5. Mikki.
5.
Oh, and Tony, what do you got?
I can't break the trend now. 5 it is.
5 it is. All right, can we
we're going to give a movie a 5, this is probably the one.
So, Dylan, where does it share the number 1 spot with? And where would it fall on that list of movies?
Well, I mean, I just put these in order because a 5 is a 5 is a 5, right?
But I'm just curious.
Our first one was The Matrix.
Yep.
Then Star Wars, Beverly Hills Cop, Galaxy Quest, Lethal Weapon 4, The Thing, Ghostbusters, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Jaws, and The Shining.
I think this is the best one out of all of those as far as just like a cinematic piece of work. Is it the best story? No. But it's none of those other movies hit like this one, man. Damn. Hey, good list, though. Good list to be on.
Right on.
All right. That's it. Next week on Violent Vinyl Radio, our sister podcast, we will be breaking the rules where we won't be doing an 80s or the 90s hair metal album, but we will be venturing back into the 70s out of respect for the great late Ace Frehley, and we will be reviewing Kiss Destroyer.
Nice.
Yes, that's a good one. And like I said, it'll be fun this week. If you guys want to know what we're going to be doing on the next Hey Did You Ever Snap movie, you could probably go over and check on the Facebook page. We can put that up there when we find out. But mystery to me, mystery to you. So there you go.
But like, comment, subscribe. Damn it. Leave a comment so we can get your opinions as to what you all like. So maybe we'll watch one of your films.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. But dude, pretty soon we're going to be able to charge for fucking commissions. You're going to be like, fuck, I should have got one done for free. So write in, tell us a movie you'd like to see. We'll read your little fucking thing on the air. We'll tell everybody why you wanted the movie and what the movie meant to you. And then we'll fucking review it. Unless we don't
tear it apart. I mean, review it. Yeah, that's it.
Unless we don't want to, and then just pretend like we didn't get your
Unless it's
message.
as good as Magnolia. Yeah.
Poor Radio. He's like, fuck you guys. Enough.
I
of the-
love you, Radio. Come
enough
on,
of the
man.
Magnolia fucking
You know, if we
thrashing
didn't
already.
break your ass, we didn't care. We care, damn it.
All right. Until next time, I just have one question for you, and that would be, hey, did you ever see that movie? See you next time.